Officer James Reeves smirked when 16-year-old Malik Manning calmly said, "My mother is Delta Force." Blood trickled from his wrist where the cuffs dug in too tight, and the mall's security cameras captured everything. Then the glass doors slid open. Colonel Vanessa Manning stepped in, dressed in civilian clothes but radiating authority. What happened that day would haunt them for a long time. If you were publicly humiliated and your family mocked, what would you do? Let's rewind a few hours before those doors opened. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon at Westfield Mall outside Atlanta. Malik, wearing a NASA t-shirt, was running through his checklist for his AP chemistry project on solar energy conversion resistors wiring circuit boards. He walked into Electromax, an electronics store, wedged between two luxury boutiques. A balding, middle-aged clerk shadowed him, rearranging items Malik hadn't touched, his suspicious eyes making assumptions by default. Just as Malik was about to gather the last of his parts, a piercing scream cut through the store music. "Where's my phone?" A woman with highlighted hair and a designer dress. Karen Thompson pointed straight at him. "My $2,000 iPhone." That kid took it. Manager Garrett Wilson appeared instantly. "We'll take care of it right now." Two guards, burly, Brad Reynolds and stone-faced Tyson Meyer, closed in. Brad grabbed Malik's right arm. Tyson, his left radios crackling. "Taking him to security. You've got the wrong person," Malik said clearly. "These are parts for my project." "Check my bag." They ignored him. Down the mall corridor, stairs and cell phone cameras burned hotter than the cuffs that would soon cut into his skin. Minutes later, Malik sat in a cramped security room under harsh fluorescent lights facing a two-way mirror. Officer Reeves walked in. His hand rested lightly on his holstered gun eyes, sweeping Malik like he was evidence. "What do we have here?" he asked Wilson. "Caught him stealing an iPhone, $2,000. Wilson replied. Malik kept his composure. "I'm an AP student at Westwood High. My teacher, Mr. Harrington, can confirm." Reeves sneered. "Heard that before." "Empty your pockets. Dump everything." Malik obeyed. Reeves tossed the items across the table components, a notebook wallet revealing a student ID and honor certificates. "No phone. Where'd you hide it?" Reeves squinted. "There are cameras here," Malik countered. Karen sniffed. "They usually work in groups." The racist undertone was unmistakable. Reeves pulled out his cuffs. "Detained for investigation." The cold metal bit deep drawing blood. "The cuffs are too tight," Malik said. Reeves ignored him. Malik took a steady breath. "I want to call my mother." Reeves raised an eyebrow. "And who's your mother, Colonel Vanessa Manning, Special Operations Pentagon?" Laughter burst out, led by Reeves. "And my dad's the president." He leaned close, voice low. "Kids like you think a story gets you out." He unlocked Malik's phone, shoved it toward him. Read the number. Malik calmly did. Reeves dialed smirk, ready for the farce to collapse. On the other end, inside a war room lined with satellite images, Colonel Vanessa Manning was mid-briefing. Her phone vibrated. Seeing her son's name, she excused herself. "Family emergency." "Where are you?" "Malik," her voice shifting from commander to mother. The background noise told her he wasn't at school. Malik reported concisely. "Westfield security room accused of theft, cuffs too tight." They mocked him when he said who his mother was, refused to check cameras. "Are you hurt?" "There's bleeding." Her discipline chained down her fury. "I'll be there. Stay calm. Don't give them an excuse." She hung up and moved into mission mode. Calling General Marcus Hayes, she requested to leave my sons being unlawfully detained. "Go." "Deploy whatever's necessary," he answered. She rang Major Terrence Williams. "JEG, meet me at Westfield. Prepare an evidence preservation order. Then, Captain Elena Rodriguez, MP, bring a first aid kit. They've cuffed a minor too tightly. She swapped her uniform for dark jeans, a burgundy blouse, and a black blazer hiding her rank until it was time to show her hand. On the drive, Vanessa mapped exits, camera lines, fastest approaches. Parking, she messaged her team, "I go in first as a regular parent." Enter 5 minutes later. She slid her military ID into her inside pocket. One deep breath, and she strode through the main entrance. The glass doors parted. Colonel Vanessa Manning advanced straight toward the security room where her son bled under steel cuffs. The balance of power was about to flip. The security room door cracked open. Vanessa stepped inside, scanning the scene. Malik sat in the chair, his wrist bleeding. Reeves loomed with arrogance. Manager Garrett Wilson hovered behind Karen Thompson. Guards Brad and Tyson blocked the exit. The air was heavy. "I'm Vanessa Manning, Malik's mother. Take those cuffs off my son now." Reeves lifted his eyes. "He's being held for theft investigation. Once it's resolved, we'll remove them." Officer Reeves, Vanessa called him by name. "You are detaining an injured minor, ignoring surveillance footage, and violating procedure. Remove the cuffs and call medical. And how would you know our procedures?" Vanessa placed her ID on the table. "Colonel Vanessa Manning, U.S. Army Special Forces." Her voice steady. "Please take off the cuffs before this gets out of control." Wilson swallowed hard. Karen stared at her nails. Brad and Tyson exchanged glances. Reeves forced his stance. "A military ID doesn't override protocol. We have a witness that justifies cuffs cutting into skin, refusal to review evidence, and treating a minor like a violent criminal." Vanessa turned to Wilson. "Does your store policy authorize detainment without reviewing cameras? If there's direct testimony, then you're willing to swear to that." The door opened. Major Terrence Williams, JAG, entered, leather case in hand. "I've already called Sheriff Robert Garcia. He wants updates immediately." Reeves' face flickered. Next came Captain Elena Rodriguez, Military Police, with a medical kit. Medical on site. She knelt beside Malik, disinfecting, bandaging, photographing the injuries. Reeves barked, "This is a controlled scene." Williams cut him off. "Sheriff's on the line. Do you want to brief him yourself, or should I connect?" Suddenly, an iPhone rang from Karen's designer bag. All eyes turned. Karen fumbled to silence it. Vanessa tilted her head. "Is that the phone that was just reported stolen, ma'am? I must have misplaced it, a mistake. No harm done." "No harm." Vanessa pointed at Malik's bandaged wrist, dark red, soaking through. Dragged through a crowd, mocked bleeding. "You call that no harm?" Reeves quietly unlocked the cuffs. Rodriguez continued documenting, noting time and injury sites. Brad edged back. Tyson stared at his shoes. "Pull the footage," Vanessa said, striding to the monitor bank. Dennis Parker, head of security, logged in nervously. Williams raised his phone, recording the screen. Rewind 10 minutes. The footage played. Karen bent down, slid the iPhone into her shopping bag, glanced around, then shrieked. "Freeze. Capture frame." Williams saved the timestamp. Another angle. On the second camera, Karen pointed directly at Malik, despite 3 people being closer. The chain of evidence was sealed. "Customer record?" Vanessa asked. Parker searched 7 similar accusations in 14 months, most targeting people of color. Past outcomes: detainees police called 4 times, no prosecutions. Williams documented everything. Rodriguez still tending. Malik spoke evenly. Officer Reeves has 12 complaints of excessive force, 9 involving minorities. Reeves stiffened. "That's classified personnel data." Rodriguez replied calmly. "When there's evidence of systemic civil rights violations, the 2023 Homeland Security Cooperation Act authorizes military police review." Would you like me to read the clause, a psychological play, but effective? Outside murmurs swelled, phone cameras poked through the doorway. A local news van had just parked. The atmosphere shifted. Mrs. Manning, corporate lawyer Jennifer Haynes from Westfield, stepped in, wearing her standard smile. We deeply regret this. If you'd allow, the company is prepared to settle immediately. This isn't about money, Vanessa said firmly. This is about a system. She nodded at Williams' draft a preservation order for all Electromax and Westfield data. On a side monitor, internal footage showed Garrett Wilson in the Electromax office accessing archives. Command line flashed delete sectors 3-7 last 2 hours. Williams' head snapped up. Activate emergency lock freeze the system. Any deletion attempt from now counts as evidence tampering. The air stretched taut like a drawn wire. Outside, the crowd's chants blurred into rising noise. Inside, every gaze turned to Reeves, no longer in control. The battlefield had shifted. The sharp sound of footsteps echoed. Sheriff Robert Garcia entered, his gaze sweeping the room. He paused at Malik's bandaged wrist, then fixed on Reeves. I received a report of an injured minor. What procedure allows that? Reeves tried to steady himself. By the book, sir. A credible witness, Garcia cut him off. Where's your body cam? Instinctively, Reeves touched his chest, empty. Malfunction. I filed a report. Rodriguez raised her tablet. This morning's log shows the device functioning normally. The room went silent. Brad Reynolds finally spoke up. Sir, Manager Wilson told us to keep an eye on certain types of customers. Wilson shot up to protest, but Brad played a recorded meeting. Watch urban youth, especially the ones who don't look like they have money. Garcia's expression darkened as he handed the file to Williams. Out in the hallway, phones were raised, high voices swelling justice for Malik. A news crew set up a tripod. Justice. Malik had already flashed across a screen. Inside, attorney Jennifer Haynes lowered her tone. The corporation apologizes. If we could sit down, we're ready to settle immediately. Vanessa was firm. No, this isn't about money. She glanced at Williams. He held up his screen. Emergency order reached the server. Any deletion attempt is blocked. On the internal feed, Wilson's terminal froze, system locked by judicial order. An officer with Garcia called out, Karen Thompson. That's me. We need to question you about similar incidents at North Lake and Perimeter. Karen's designer bag thudded to the floor. An Electromax employee leaned in. We were told to follow certain customers. I have the emails. Another crack in the dam. Richard Thompson entered sharp in a tailored suit. I'm a partner at Thompson, Blackwell & Price. This detention is unlawful. We'll countersue and demand those records turned over. Williams smiled. You're skirting obstruction of justice. Data's already mirrored to court and the sheriff's office. Garcia pointed at him. You're not directly involved. Step outside. Rodriguez checked Malik. His hands are shaking, lips pale. He's showing signs of hypotension. A medic took his blood pressure, shook her head. Call an ambulance. Vanessa decided instantly. Ambulance. Then to her team, Williams, keep building the case. Rodriguez, collect all logs and statements. Fred Jenkins, the mall owner, poked his head in. What's happening? There are cameras everywhere out there, Vanessa answered bluntly. Your mall fostered a culture of profiling. My son was injured because of it. Jenkins stammered. We apologize, we'll compensate for the inconvenience. That was unlawful detention. Vanessa cut him off. Cornered. Reeves yanked out his cuffs. Mrs. Manning, you're obstructing justice. I'm placing you under arrest. Garcia stepped between them, voice like steel. Stand down. Surrender your badge and weapon now. Reeves stammered. You can't, I can. And I am. You're suspended for excessive force, improper procedure, and falsifying equipment reports. The clang of metal on the table was final. The ambulance arrived. Rodriguez helped lift Malik onto the stretcher. Vanessa held his hand. Do you want to leave or stay? Malik looked at the crowd, the cameras, the truth mounting outside. I want to stay, but if the doctor says, hospital, the medic cut in. He needs fluids and monitoring. Malik nodded. Then I'll come back. Meanwhile, Reeves frantically keyed his radio dispatch need backup at Westfield Security. 3 officers rushed in, hands near holsters, but when they saw Sheriff Garcia, their posture dropped. They stood back, taking notes, their eyes flicking uneasily at Reeves. Karen tried slipping toward the door, muttering about meeting her lawyer, but an officer blocked her. Ma'am, you need to make a statement. Now. On the glass door feed, the crowd outside had swelled. Westwood students raised signs of support. Channel 7's live banner scrolled, "Student handcuffed at Westfield." Social media erupted video of Malik being dragged in cuffs spread fast, comments flooding the mall's page demanding a public apology. Garcia scanned the room once more, voice clipped. From this moment, everything is on record. No one leaves without giving a statement. He nodded at Vanessa. Please ride with the ambulance. We'll do our job. Vanessa replied, steady and sharp, I expect nothing less. The smell of antiseptic at Atlanta Memorial Hospital drowned out the noise. Dr. Naomi Williams cleaned the cuts on Malik's wrists while a nurse photographed each wound. These injuries are consistent with handcuffs applied too tightly, the doctor said for the record. She recognized Malik. You're the solar energy kid, aren't you? My daughter loved your presentation. Malik exhaled his back, finally easing. Investigators arrived to take his statement. Malik recounted every step, including Reeves's words. Kids like you. Later, the hospital administrator reported, there are reporters in the lobby and a police union rep wants to speak. Vanessa shut the door and asked her son, Are you ready? Malik nodded. I won't stay silent anymore. That night, a message came down from higher up. The department supports you, but keep it quiet. Almost simultaneously, attorney Elaine Washington called, I'll take this pro bono. This case could set precedent on juvenile detention and profiling. Vanessa arranged to meet with JAG. Malik said plainly, I want precedent. The next day, Malik returned to school. Mr. Harrington pulled him aside. Some say you should settle, but many of us are proud of you. In the hallway, whispers cut sharp, his mom's just showing off. That afternoon, an email arrived from Brenner's science application under reconsideration. That night, the Manning home was defaced with spray-painted slurs. Vanessa called in her unit's security team. Rodriguez installed new cameras. This is intimidation meant to break you. Vanessa told her son, The choice is yours. If you stop, I'll support you. Malik pulled out a file, his journal of injustices dating back to grade school. I've recorded everything. If I stop, it all gets buried. The next morning, veterans from different branches gathered at their yard to clean the paint and stand guard. Retired Marine Gunnery Sergeant James Wilson shook Vanessa's hand. The network's active. We've got people in 17 states collecting similar records. 4 former JAGs ready to help. At Westwood, Malik and friends launched the Coalition Against Profiling, opening a secure reporting channel for local cases. Unexpectedly, Brad approached Malik and handed him a USB drive. I backed up all the footage from that day, every camera, even the unreleased ones. Plus, emails recordings of those profiling orders. I was wrong to stay silent. Please use this right. Williams reviewed it and froze. This video is airtight, matching the testimony of a new victim. A whistleblower inside Electromax reached out the watch. Certain customers' policy wasn't just local, it was chain-wide. Rodriguez's data sweep revealed Reeves's links to 3 extremist groups via his personal email flagged before for racist remarks against black service members. What began as misconduct had crossed into Homeland Security territory. Then came a voice from the top. General Marcus Hayes at a Pentagon press conference declared, "The military has zero tolerance for discrimination. Unjust treatment of service members' families undermines morale and readiness." No names were given, but the message was unmistakable. Pressure mounted on both the police department and Westfield. The ripple effect spread. The department announced bias training and added community monitors for complaint investigations. Electromax suspended local management and opened a chain-wide probe. Media shifted from questioning to pattern. At school, the principal issued a letter supporting Malik. The science lab taped a sign to the door, "No profiling." On the eve of filing, the Manning living room held Williams Rodriguez, Elaine Washington, and Vanessa. Elaine laid out 2 paths. 1, a large settlement with voluntary reforms. 2, litigation to set precedent, long heavy but far-reaching. Malik asked only, which one protects the kids whose mothers aren't colonels? The room fell silent. Then heads nodded. The course was set court. On the morning of the hearing, the courthouse steps were packed. Malik walked beside his mother. The thin scars on his wrists spoke louder than words. Judge Elaine Peterson called the court to order. "This court will examine the evidence before any explanations." The video sequence appeared, Karen placing the iPhone into her shopping bag. Another angle showing her pointing straight at Malik, though others were closer. Experts confirmed the files were unaltered. Medical records detailed injuries from over-tight cuffs. Internal Electromax emails and recordings about urban youth played aloud. Reeves's disciplinary file, along with logs showing his body cam fully functional, sealed the narrative. When Malik took the stand, his voice was steady with no embellishment. The hardest part was realizing that even when I did everything right, some people still assumed I was guilty. Vanessa followed. I defended justice 3 times on the battlefield. Coming home to see my son bleeding in cuffs because of prejudice that was a betrayal of those same values. The defense tried to argue procedural misunderstandings and media exaggeration, but layer after layer of evidence left no escape. Sheriff Garcia confirmed Reeves's suspension. Brad submitted recordings. The Electromax whistleblower confirmed the unwritten policy. An independent panel presented reform recommendations. Judge Peterson's ruling. Officer James Reeves, civil rights violations. Excessive force, procedural misconduct. Suspended without pay, mandatory bias training and psychological evaluation pending disciplinary board. Karen Thompson. False report, evidence tampering, wasting public resources. 2 years probation. 200 hours of community service with minority youth organizations, mandatory counseling. Electromax, Westfield Mall. Civil liability for fostering profiling culture. Placed under 5-year court supervision required to implement anti-profiling protocols, conduct regular training, and establish the Malik Manning Scholarship Fund of $1 million for minority STEM students. Compensation to identified victims. The gavel fell. Malik squeezed his mother's hand. This was not about revenge, but about accountability and repair. The judge concluded discrimination does not live only in individuals. It takes root in systems. Today, this court rules on both conduct and structure. The ripple effect spread quickly. The police department created a community oversight board with access to disciplinary files. All officers entered mandatory bias training. Regional retail chains voluntarily adopted new protocols, review cameras before detention, issue medical reports if injury occurs, and establish independent hotlines for customers. Malik and Vanessa testified before a congressional subcommittee. A draft bill on juvenile detention standards and profiling penalties was introduced. 1 year later. At Westfield's atrium, the very place Malik was once dragged away, a banner now read, Community Outreach Center. The old security room had become a youth support hub, offering free legal counseling, STEM pathways, and anti-bias staff training. Brad Reynolds became a trainer for retail security on keeping safe without profiling. Young officers came to practice scenario drills, testing for bias in their decisions. Vanessa watched her son prepare to speak. Change isn't a single moment, she whispered, but a chain of moments. Malik spoke briefly about his scars and about the scholarship that had already put 10 students into STEM programs. He announced his acceptance to Johns Hopkins to study biomedical science. His solar energy project had grown into a bioelectrochemistry research track. Applause thundered. Since Malik's case, 3 stores scrapped their watch lists. 2 officers under complaints faced disciplinary boards. The Coalition Against Profiling kept collecting data, submitting recommendations each semester. Those moments had stretched into a new culture. When forced to choose between comfort and what's right, remember, justice is rarely the easy road. It demands evidence, organization, and courage. Malik chose that road, and in doing so, changed not just his own fate, but his community's. From a false accusation, Malik Manning and his mother, Colonel Vanessa Manning, turned pain into power that forced an entire system to change. But here's the question for all of us. If you were in Malik's position, would you take the quiet settlement to move on, or stand up for justice for yourself and your community? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your answer. And if this story inspired you, don't forget to hit like, share the video so more people can see it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more powerful stories of justice like this one.